Welcome to our Before PreCrime Intelligence Splunk App webinar. Hi, I am Andres Annuto, Solution Architect at BforeAI. Today we are focused on showing you how to enrich your cybersecurity posture using our Splunk integration. We are going to review the requirements, the installation steps, the configuration, the first utilization, and some example on proxy and DNS log. The two pre-requirements are the API key from BforeAI and to have a Splunk Enterprise or Cloud ready. BforeAI offers two types of products. One of them is the PreCrime Intelligence that we are going to integrate into our Splunk installation. Once on the BforeAI website, click on Get Demo, fill in the form in order to obtain your API key to be used during our webinar. You will also receive a contact by our team who will focus to align your access to the service you need. The second requirement is to have a Splunk Cloud or Enterprise set up already and the admin access. Once you are logged in your Splunk installation, you can install from Manage Apps and click on Install from File. Alternatively, you can install it from the Splunk base. You can follow the links in the comment section below. Alright, once the app is installed, and there are a few configuration steps to complete. First of all, we recommend to create a new index that will be used to collect the records received by the PreCrime Intelligence feed. I will call this index PreCrime and save it. Right, going to the Before PreCrime Intelligence app. The dashboard currently have no data loaded. We can now go to configure the app. The first step we perform is under the configuration tab. Go figure. We add an account. Assign a name corresponding to your account. The API URL. Here it is. api.before.ai. And BforeAI credential that you received. And if you didn't receive it yet, visit the web page and request the demo access. Alright, once the account is created and saved, the next step is go on the input page and create an input. We can assign a name. I suggest to use a reference to the date range you are going to download. I will call it PreCrime 24. Provide the frequency to download the data. At the time of this video creation, we have this limitation to use only daily updates, 86,400 seconds. Select the index we are going to use. It will be the newly created PreCrime index in our case. Now our app is pre-configured to use indexes main or PreCrime. If you created any other name, an additional configuration step is required that we will see in a minute. Select the account, the date you want to download the data from. It uses ISO 8601 format. And for this session, I'm going to start from the beginning of the year, 2024-0101. And this is also created. And by now, this input is already running and is for sure creating some record. Under search, we can select the date picker to include the date range we started to collect the data from, and select our index PreCrime, and we can see the data is coming in. We are downloading data from the beginning of the year, and we can see that it's coming in. This app currently collects the data from one endpoint of the API feed. There are other endpoints that we are not using. This endpoint provides a list of JSON lines, including the domain name, the timestamp, the score. Alright, now that we configured the account and the data is being downloaded, it's time to set up the acceleration job. Under Advanced Search, this app relies on the acceleration to summarize the data from the dashboard. We can use the dashboard without acceleration for testing purposes by changing the search macro section. To test the dashboard without the acceleration, we can go under the search macro and set the summarize to false. Now, we don't recommend to do this in production or for proof of value, as it slow down the dashboard summaries and is more resource demanding. The best approach is to use the summaries only set to true. And we are going to edit the acceleration. Edit. Enable the acceleration. Select the summary range to all time. Set the backfill range to 1 month. Then you can provide the cron parameters of when you want the acceleration to be built. In this case, I set it to run every day at midday and save. Currently, the data is still downloading, so we want to wait some time to download the data and then build the acceleration. Let us skip forward in time. Alright, once the data is downloaded and the acceleration build is completed, then you have access to this dashboard and the data will be populating. Before to deep dive into the dashboard information, allow me to summarize the configuration steps. First, you need the API key from BforeAI. You then need to configure your account with your API key in the configuration section. You may want to create an index. In this case, we created the index called PreCrime. We need to configure the input with 86,400 seconds and use the same index name that we created previously. Now, the Before PreCrime app is pre-configured out of the box to use the index main or PreCrime. You can use other names, but you will have to configure the search macro accordingly, adding the index you used in the PreCrime index. We recommend to use summarize only equal to true, but you can set this field to false for testing purpose, in case the acceleration is not ready yet. Then you will have to configure the acceleration and define when it's going to run and wait for it to be completed to 100%, allowing for faster t-stats searches. Finally, all is set to run your searches using all the capabilities of Splunk with t-stats acceleration. In this case, I'm looking for a domain that received over time more than one score, as I will use it to demonstrate one feature in the dashboard later on. We can now look at the dashboard with more details. We can select the date range the domain was processed or select all time. You can search for a keyword. or the full domain name. The top row highlights how many domains in each category, based on the score evaluation representing the threat confidence level of a domain. This endpoint of the API feed that we use to create the index is made of a list of JSON lines containing the domain name, the date our system processed the information to assign the score value, and the score itself, indicating the confidence level of a threat of the given domain. The feed provides thousands of these JSON lines that are processed and indexed by this Splunk app, saving each record as an event. The score between 0 and 1 provides the confidence level of a domain name. Any score between 0 and 0.5 is considered a safe domain. A score at 0.5 indicates that we are keeping this domain under monitoring, as our system didn't gather enough evidence. It may happen on parked domains or newly registered without activity. We keep them constantly monitored. Anything above 0.5 should be treated with care and based on your risk propensity level. We consider suspicious any domain with a score between 0.51 and 0.79, and we advise you to keep them monitored, set alerts. Any domain with a score above or equal 0.8, we consider it malicious and we recommend you to block it on your network as soon as possible. For example, blocking to resolve this domain to the IP on your DNS, or blocking the request on your proxy server. You may also want to monitor if any of your clients visited any of these domains and use this intelligence to automate your playbooks. So let's say we want to understand more about a given domain. So we can search for any keyword of the domain we are looking for, or for the specific domain name that we want to analyze. If it's in our index, we'll allow to identify through the score if it is a safe domain, if it is still under monitoring, suspicious, or malicious. In this case, it's a malicious domain. And we have multiple records for this domain. In this section of the dashboard, we can see that the earliest score we downloaded was 0.97. Then we confirmed the score of 0.97, and then finally we raised it to 1. So this is a malicious domain, and we recommend you to block it as soon as possible. As we proceed, let's dig deeper into using keywords to get the list of domains within the date range selected containing these words. We can pinpoint whether a domain is safe, under monitoring, suspicious, or malicious, and use this intelligence to proactively manage your network security. In this case, these 3 domains are probably attempting to typo squat phishing. And these other domains are under monitoring, and as soon as they show any type of behavior, we can classify it either as safe or malicious. As we approach the conclusion of this video, I want to quickly introduce some specific use case. So this will be a quick introduction, but let us know if you want me to make a dedicated video with more details on one of these or any other use case. One use case is to correlate the proxy logs of your network with the malicious domain. In this case, the client of our network tried to reach one of these domains, which are considered malicious. This search can be saved as an alert or be sent to your SOAR to trigger a related playbook and integrate these domains to a block list. In this case, I saved it as a dashboard to identify the clients who visited the malicious domains and see how many we blocked and how many are being forwarded. Well, this is just a simulation, or I will be concerned of an ongoing organized exploitation of our network. Another use case is to correlate the data of a DNS resolver, in this case is bind9, with our PreCrime Intelligence to identify the clients that try to reach these domains. This can help you identify a possible network exploitation or an authentication abuse and isolate the client of the network to avoid lateral movement of the threat. This client is highly probable being exploited and pose a risk to our assets. By using alerts, we can automate the correlation systematically and set to report via Slack or email or directly send it to our automated playbooks. These two cases may have required longer time to be identified. Thanks to PreCrime, we can detect it before any major impacts arrive on our network. We can do better by feeding the malicious domains into our block list, either the firewall, the DNS defense zone, and prevent any communication north-south to these domains. To wrap up, we saw how to configure the Splunk app from BforeAI. We looked at specificities of the API feed and the logic behind the score. We analyzed our network logs from a DNS resolver and a proxy server, identifying malicious activities and potential attacks. If you have any difficulties or queries, contact me, Andrea at BforeAI, or our support. You will find the links in the description below. That wraps up our session for today. Looking forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Goodbye for now.